Yep. Can you hear? Can you hear us? Hello?
Sorry about that. I couldn't find your. I don't think we have any mutual servers on your iPod Discord account. So
Probably not. I'm not in that many servers.
I had I don't know. I don't normally unblock people on Discord, so I didn't know how to do it.
Why did you block me in the first place? I've been nothing but.
I don't remember.
I am the realist.
I think because you pissed me. You probably pissed me off at a certain point.
What
You've been
pissed
saying
you off
shit
with the truth that you need to hear?
I don't know. I don't know. When did I block you?
The day after.
It was probably the day of the stream. I'm not even sure. The after hours stream.
Yeah, I mean, I probably was. Yeah, I was blocking a lot. So I don't remember who or where. I have a lot of stuff blocked.
So what's been going on, man? I mean, you've had quite the fucking year. I mean, you've decided to call into the stream. I mean, what's I mean, I don't even know where to begin with this shit. What was your motivation for calling in today?
Well, okay. So I just finished working on a video and I felt good, and I know that you were doing the multi-hour long stream, and I was just curious, and I looked and you were reacting to me talking about some things, and I was just like, well, wouldn't it be easier if I just call in?
Well, I guess so. I mean, you said that we haven't really got into the parts that you talked about me and Connor about, but so far you've said a couple things. I mean, I'll do me first and then I'll let Connor speak for himself. You said that my main issue with you is that you're trans or something like that, which I find to be...
No, I did not say the main issue. I just said that's an aspect. Because didn't Gokunaru ask if that was an aspect of why people dislike me? And I'm like, I don't think so, but I know Augie's not cool with transgender kind of in general, so maybe that could
I think he says the primary reason, because you then say that the primary reason is your meltdown. And for us, that was one of the primary motivators that started it. But Augie never mentioned that to you once. Even post Fallout, he didn't DM you about anything regarding your identity or non-binariness. He gave you a laundry list of ways that you fucked up and lied.
The idea that the reason why I quote unquote turned on you is because you're trans is just completely delusional. I mean, I laid it out on the stream earlier. The reason why is because, first of all, you were mentally, being psychotic. You're being psychotic to Nick, which on its own is not something that I can cut somebody off for. But it is, it is a red flag if somebody's that crazy or whatever, right? On top of that, though, you were lying about key details when it came to the timeline of events. I was asking you specifically in DMs for details. I forget what it was specifically. I'd have to look back at our last DM conversation. But remember, I asked you something about the timeline of when you were going after lyrics, and you completely lied about the timeline of events, and then I called you out on that lie, and then you took a few hours to respond, and then you were like, I'll try not to lie again, or you said something where it was oops. It was basically what it amounted to. So you were crazy, you were lying about, a bunch of details on events when I was just trying to ask you questions about basic information, and then on top of that, you're being vindictive to people like lyrics, which led me to believe okay, well, if you have this pattern of vindictive behavior, why the fuck would I have you around in my life? I'm obviously going to cut you off, right?
You're transphobic in some ways, and maybe that played a factor in you hating me at that current moment, which was after the fact, right? Not the impetus for it, but why you might currently still hate me to the state potentially. That was kind of how I was interpreting the question. But
well, hate is even a strong, I don't even think hate is an accurate word or whatever. I don't really hate anyone in the fucking world, right? But it's just the reason why I cover you and I fucking make fun of you for the most part is that you become a complete lolcow. On top of your vindictive nature, right? You also you've been completely, you've made horrible decisions, career decisions and life decisions that I find worthy of mockery. In the same way that you've found a lot of shit that was worthy of mockery when it came to Tipster. So, I mean, if you're wondering why I quote unquote farm you or something like that, because I noticed you in this Gokunaru video, you talk about farming a lot, right? It's just because you've made a lot, and we can talk about different things you've done that I find worthy of mockery. But I mean, that's really what it all comes down to. It's not just you victimize. You have a pattern of victimizing yourself a lot.
Yeah.
the reason why I cover you is because you.
Okay.
Yes,
I remember
okay.
now. Sorry. So like so I was answering like questioning that you might dislike me due to like the trans stuff because I didn't understand like what would be criticizable like in terms of like the lolcow behavior. I'm like, well, I didn't see it as lolcow behavior, so I'm like, I guess maybe that's like an aspect of it. But I guess in that conversation, listening back, because I am listening back to it now through like your stream a bit, I did oversell it. And maybe in the moment, I was just on some sort of wavelength where I did think you were maybe more transphobic than in terms of me specifically than I'm thinking right now. So yeah, I apologize. I went too far probably with that assertion, especially since I haven't talked with you in like a very long time.
Yeah, it has been quite a while.
Obviously, I wouldn't know how transphobic you are or not outside of your tweets, which are very hyperbolic in nature, of course.
Well, I mean, that's the point of fucking Twitter, isn't it? The whole point of Twitter is saying the worst shit you can think of, the most negative shit that's on your mind.
Talentless word.
Yeah, so
right?
potentially maybe like you said something and like that got in my head when I was talking with Gokinawa, but regardless, yeah, I apologize. I went too far on that.
Okay,
sure.
Well, fair enough. If you apologize for that point, address the elephant in the room. Like, can we talk about 111? Like, can we just talk
first,
about?
but prior you laid out all of the reasons that like you dislike me that weren't and I kind of would want to like
okay. We'll get to that. I mean, there's so much you've offered to call in.
There's like a timeline, right?
There's an infinite amount of things I just would love to ask you about, but we can address the personal shit first.
We've been part of this platform for a while, and with you and Connor and Nick in particular, you guys like were my friends, right? Like outside of content and everything, we were pretty close, especially like me and Connor working together for so long. So I do feel like whether it doesn't have to be a public platform, but I feel like publicly or privately, it probably is good just as human beings to get our kind of potential grievances out. So when you bully me in the future, it's less of like, oh, I hate this person, and more like for less personal reasons, and more like he's a lolcow or whatever, So
you want me to cover you as a lolcow and less as I think that's how.
Well, no, I'm just saying like the reason I'm coming on here is so partly is so that there's no animosity on like more personal level, if that makes any sense, like outside of content creation.
Well, the problem is that I do have some animosity for you just because I think you're a compulsive liar. Like even just the other week you come up with this lie about how like Nick DiOrio is comment cop. I mean, do you really believe that? And I know you don't. I know you want to focus specifically on personal stuff, but that is related to your personal behavior, your vindictiveness, and your willingness to lie about people that have like burned you. I mean, what the fuck was that about? You just pulled that completely out of your ass, right?
Well, I've known for a while that Nick was content cop.
Do you have evidence for that?
Through a screen share, but
it slipped through a screen share. When did that happen?
In a call we were in.
A private call between you and Nick?
Yeah. It was
what year did this happen?
Well, not private, but it was in a group chat.
It was in a group chat?
Not a group chat, a server.
What server?
Terms,
which server?
The one that everyone hanged out. What was it called?
The Cabal. You mean Xylee's Cabal server?
Yes.
So was this in like 2024 or 2023 or something?
2020. No, it's 2024.
2024. So Nick was screen sharing and he had login access to Comment Cop. So basically, like Nick accidentally did what you did with Throbbing Horsecock, where he was just switching Twitter accounts, and you saw a Comment Cop in there.
Yeah, it was like
I've ever seen.
Interesting.
Who else? Was anyone else on the call, or was it just you guys?
It was me and like a couple other people. I think it might. I don't remember who though.
Do you remember like what you guys were talking about this time? Was it like a drama call or something?
No, it was like a random meme call. It was not a drama call.
So you guys were all just fucking around. Was it like Chris the Narc in there, where it's like another YouTuber in there?
No, I don't think it was like another. Well, it might have been like some guys from Now Recording, maybe, and like people like that. So they are content creators, but like,
did anyone notice? what you noticed that Nick had revealed?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Did you?
I was going
to
mention it. I was going to mention it, but then like I couldn't get the words in because they were like just kept talking. There's no space to talk, so I just I think I forgot about it and then just.
If this was
in the back
2024,
of my mind,
would this have contributed to why you were upset at Nick then, maybe in mid 2024 because you knew about this? Okay,
yeah,
it wasn't enough of an impact for you. The fact that you had an alt account where you made like a video attacking you years ago that didn't cross your mind at the time. It was more just, I guess, the Destiny drama was recent on your mind or something.
Yeah, it was just like getting my frustrations and points out to him, and. I didn't know. I guess it wasn't like necessary or relevant to bring up to me, to like get my point across, But again, like I was like, that was like peak like. You were one of peak craziness. Like
this is like an interesting.
I read the text and it barely makes any sense even to me now.
This is such an interesting thing for me to like listen to because because in my mind, like you find out that Nick Diorio is Comment Cop. Like if I were you, I would have pressed him immediately because of that video that Comment Cop made on you about the whole "Let Me Speak" situation.
About that.
That would have been like the first thing on my mind, right? And I mean, I know you as a person. You do get very, hung up on videos that are made on you, or things like that. Like I did mention before, like you're very vindictive, right? So.
Yeah,
somebody with your personality, especially, I mean, even somebody with my personality, I would have like instantly jumped on Nick and been like, "Oh, so you're a Comment Cop? Like, so you're the one that made that video on me?" Like instantly, I wouldn't be able to like talk to Nick without addressing like the elephant in the room in that situation, right? So it's just very difficult for me to believe that you would just kind of notice that and. Maybe you want to speak up. And
no, it's part of why I was angry. It was definitely on my mind. It was part of why I was angry at him. And it like me being angry at Nick was like like the Comment Cop thing and like a bunch of combination of different things.
But even in your psychotic breakdown with Nick in July,
that's what I'm talking about.
For lack of a better term, I'll try to be respectful. You know what I mean?
It was psychotic. I had a mental break. I went manic.
Exactly. But even in that conversation, it never came up. Like when you're just like listing all of your grievances, because you list a lot of like stuff that's clearly been on your mind for a while about how like, oh, I built this community. I deserve more fucking respect. You respect Destiny more than you respect me. You never mentioned Comment Cop, which is something else that has been that at that point had been brewing in your mind for months. Like that, for some reason, that you kept tucked away. But all this other stuff that had been brewing for months, all that came out. I just personally, I find that extremely hard to believe.
I'll say this, because I mean, I kind of agree. Did you tell anyone this revelation that you had, or that you saw? Sorry.
No, I kept it very secret.
Okay, because it's confusing because like obviously you say you and I talked a lot, which we did, and sometimes you told me about the whole conversation you had with Nick later. I think after it happened, I believe we had either a call about it or a message about it. I can't remember what exactly, but you didn't bring that up to me. You didn't bring it up to Augie. You didn't bring it up to maybe, I don't know, your Trashy Trio friends, King of Nothing. You didn't tell King of Nothing about this? Like no one?
Well, I haven't talked to King of Nothing since like before July.
Well, I know, but you and King of Nothing were friends like when him and Nick were beefing, right? And so no one in your sphere or no one in your friend group, you never decided to say it until you publicly made this accusation a couple weeks ago.
Well, I don't tell them. I mean, we don't really talk about YouTube drama that much.
Well, this is less YouTube drama, more just like something that's personally bothering you.
Yeah,
right.
And it is like
that a friend of yours.
I mean, I will say, if Nick is coming, that is like crazy. That is crazy.
Oh yes,
objectively, that is wild.
Well, I mean, it would be wild if Nick was Comment Cop because that would mean he'd be like lying about stuff like that, and it would just be like, okay, this is kind of weird that you have this weird alter ego that exists or something
and
like
you
that,
made this
right?
Video and you denied it too. Yeah, I would agree.
Obviously,
that's nuts. But you saw that. As
what I talk about in my personal life and with other people, like, yeah, I mean, it's some people knew about it, but not anyone like online, because like it's not something I wanted to like share that I knew, because it's like kind of like whoa, Nick is Comment Cop, and I was still like friendly with Nick. Like in those psychotic DMs, like you even see me hear me say stuff like or see me say stuff like oh Nick, we're still best friends if you want to be, or whatever I said, or what have you. Not that I think he's my best friend, but or thought he was my best friend, but I don't know, whatever. I said that stuff. And I didn't want to like expose him because I know if it comes out publicly that he's comment cop, it looks bad on him considering he made that video on me. So of course I didn't want to like tell and like, you know, have that get out because I was still having like Nick's best interest in mind. So obviously with the drama that's been with like the farming that's been going on since, that's not the case anymore, right? So he's comment cop, you know.
I mean, I guess I'm just curious what pushed you over the line then decide to reveal this information that no one online knew.
Me over the line was how he had shared personal information about me online that was gathered in ways, and it was like spread online and shit.
But like nothing else, no other coverage of Nick before that.
This is just insane to me.
Well, no other coverage than Nick did.
Well, yeah, obviously him like leaking my personal like finance shit pissed me off more than like anything else that he's done up to the point. Yeah, I'm gonna be more mad that got leaked than like it's him saying like I'm cringe, or like a lolcow, horror cow, or whatever.
Well, here's something you did accuse him of as well. You accused him of outing you as non-binary, which was a lie, and I don't know if you corrected the record on that.
No,
why
did I say that?
Yes, you said in a tweet
I'm
that was
pretty
deleted
sure
that he outed you as non-binary. And
I
so
said
when you accuse him of that, how can we trust you that?
I'm pretty sure I said I felt pressured into coming out as non-binary because to explain the drama. Because like the drama was about the non-binary tweet. So I felt pressured into being forced to come out in order to share that DM to give the context of what was going on. So I didn't say Nick forced me into coming out. I just felt forced by I felt forced by the situation to reveal that info in order to explain the situation. And obviously in hindsight I didn't need to do that, but that's what I felt pressured for. So it's my responsibility.
So will you correct the record that Nick, nothing in that situation had anything to do with your identity or your non-binariness? That has no connection to anything that involved with your meltdown with Nick. So you correct the record that was incorrect? Other than like, the tweet about that I got mad at Tom about being like the non-binary, like that being the subject matter of that little exchange, obviously. But besides that, no. It's like pretty much irrelevant.
Wait, hold on. Nicholas Dioria in chat says, hey, so Bowblax straight up lied. Tipster reached out to me today to tell me the fake comment cob Xylee's server story hours ago. He absolutely told other people.
Oh, what?
Nick says Twitter DMs are down right now, but
I told people about how I found out about comment cop after I tweeted about it publicly.
Okay, this is post reveal. So
yes, that's all post reveal.
When did you talk to Tipster about it?
Yeah, when did you talk to Tipster?
He DM'd me. He asked me if it was really like true. Like I think the day of me tweeting it.
And so you said this story. You said the story the same day, but you're saying that before you outed it publicly, you never told anyone.
Yes.
Interesting.
I
mean, it just seems like, I don't know, to me, it just seems like that is the golden card for you to play against Nick. And I don't know why you would have waited for so long to say that.
Well, out of all of your grievances like that you had with Nick over the summer, this is like one that could be legitimate.
Yeah,
right?
Again, like I said, if Nick was Comic Cup, I would be like, whoa, that's crazy.
But it's like instead you play all these other cards that's like, Nick, I mean, I forget what exactly you were.
Non-binary. Nick,
yeah, exactly. You use a bunch of bullshit instead of like alleged
come out as non-binary.
Yeah.
I've never had an issue hugely with Nick until like he just keeps going on with this coverage of me, where to the point of like leaking my personal information and stuff like that, and then like even before that a bit. But like during the whole like craziness, like I was mad at him, but it was like mad because I want to get over it and continue being his friend, not in the way I am now where it's like, fuck Nick, I'm never going to be his friend again type shit,
Interesting. And when you say personal information, are you talking about the segment he did on the, what is it? The House?
The house stuff.
Okay, so like a public court document, basically, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, except you have to like pay to like find it, and you have to like manually search it up. It was like private info that you can bring up publicly, sure, but that's, people can look up info of people online and like find people's last names and find people's addresses or what have you.
Right.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should dig in and then share that info out, right?
Right.
And I know he censored a bunch of shit, but like, he continued with sharing that alongside the people who, didn't censor it and stuff. So
yeah. So your name is already public, right? And I believe your YouTube, I think, even used to be, and maybe your Twitter.
You said your last Nick. Everybody knows my last name's public.
Well, here's the thing: it's like
last name, dumbass.
Anyone can look up if you have somebody's like name, your full name, and the general city that you live in, right? Anyone can look up public record documents or whatever, right? Yeah. Like if somebody has like a DUI or something like that, right? Yeah. I mean, anyone can like look that up. If I know like fucking. I don't know.
Nicholas Diorio, New York.
Yeah, Nicholas Diorio, New York City. Like, if he has any fucking documents that exist of him where he's ever been, like, fucking
yeah, but if those documents
like
have,
that,
like, private information on it, like...
Well, at that point, the information isn't private anymore. It's public. Right?
But it's still, like, my address that can get doxxed. It's still my address. Like, don't you see, like, the harm in a bunch of people online knowing my address and other information about me, even if it came out through a public document?
What was your address on it?
What, did he show it?
Nick didn't show it, but, like, other people who got the information, the base source of it, has, like, information like that.
So here's my question, then. Like, are you saying, like, people like Turkey Tom or people who cover kiwi farms or content on there are just as guilty because you may have information that is on that website? Like if Turkey Tom does a video about you and he covers what someone said in your kiwi farms thread, is Turkey Tom now doxing you and revealing your personal information on stream?
No, but I can dislike him for it.
Okay, but
I didn't say Nick doxed me. I said
that's not an answer to the question, though.
No, you're accusing him of revealing your personal information on stream, and this was the impetus for you revealing content.
No, sharing the revealed information. Someone doxed me, and then Nick shared information from that dox.
Well, it's not a dox if it's a public record. I mean, the fucking government.
It's the same outcome. My address got out. It's the same outcome. Personal information got out. Just because, like, you can look it up. I could probably find a bunch of information about you if I just started like searching up certain terms in Google.
That's the thing. It's like,
should I start like saying it on this stream and shit?
Well, no. The thing is though, is like if there's a public document of mine that exists or whatever, right, that people can retrieve, I just have to eat crow at that point. That's just how the fucking world works. You know what I mean?
It's your L.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like, that's what I get for telling people my full name and the city that I live in.
And you're a public figure.
And
you have a public court document.
Yeah. When you're a public figure, you do like lose some of that basic right to privacy, right?
So if people were sharing around Nick Diorio's docs, is that like, okay?
If he had a court document where his
and stuff.
Well, if it was a court document.
Well, no, his name is fully out there. People found his address and everything just by his name being Nicholas Diorio. And him saying he lives in New York, Long Island. That's enough info for people to find his docs, and people ended up doxing him off it. Is that now like, is it okay if people like talk about that and share because it's out there? You know,
Nick didn't look up Bowblax's address and then read your address on stream. That's like what you're saying. The equivalent is if Nick.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
To answer your question, if Nick had a court document against him that his house is getting foreclosed on, and you decided to fire up a Male Monkey Bully stream. You censored the address and you said, Nick's getting his house foreclosed on.
That would be bad. I wouldn't do that.
Have at it.
I wouldn't even, if that happened at Tipster, I wouldn't have done that.
Oh, okay. That is a lie.
100%. Just like how I did. I say like that. The docs of where he like
absolutely would have done that.
But there was literally a situation during my Tipster Bully like stuff, like during the year or so I did it, where something came out about like Tipster's job and like where he worked and shit, and like people were covering it. Like I think Chris and Ark did a thing on it, and other people, and I didn't cover it. So that's an example of an equivalent.
Well, I mean, I'm
it's private
thinking of,
information. I want to bully his content, not, where he works or what his finances are or whatever. I'm bullying him and his fat ass and how he acts.
I'm thinking of like old situations, whatever, right? Like with Def Noodles, like people, like when commentary was going in on Def Noodles, they found like old stuff about his previous divorce and like his previous marriages and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I never covered that.
I mean, if you have that standard, I guess, and you've been consistent on that, then...
If you've never, ever revealed any kind of personal information about anyone, ever...
But I mean, at the same time...
Okay, no, Connor. We made the establishment.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's the standard,
There's
right?
not ever any information ever.
Yeah,
like,
you're saying that
me covering Anisa talking about Ian shitting in like a clip is not the same as what we're talking about. Don't say anything ever. You're being hyperbolic. You're being hyperbolic.
Being very specific. Personal information.
No.
So you're holding yourself to the standard. You never talk about this personal information, doxing information ever. You've never done something that could possibly lead to someone's dox in your entire internet history. And if you have, you would see this point to Nick.
Yeah, like using Kiwi farms.
The way you were talking, there's no way in any circumstance ever over the 14 years of content you have ever made where you, I might have read out a tweet that could have been information. I don't remember. I've made so much content. I've made like 6 years of drama content. You know that's a fucking slimy little...
It's not slimy. The point is that you're holding the standard. You are doing drama content. That's the truth. And the truth about drama content being a public figure... No, the truth about drama content
it's
being
a standard I've always had. Is there content that maybe breaks that standard in the past I made? I have no fucking clue. But it's a standard I've personally had this whole time. Maybe like my definition of what is or isn't that has like matured over time or what have you. But
or is it just
so maybe there's a video like 5 years ago that I made where I read out a tweet where it had a certain thing and I wouldn't do that today or whatever. But generally, yes, I have still.
I mean, the standard just sounds like it's impossible to use Kiwi Farms as a source because when I go to somebody's front page on Kiwi Farms, it lists their name and their address.
I've never used
Turkey
Kiwi
Tom
Farms
should delete all his videos.
Wait, you've never used Kiwi Farms as a source?
Except for in one video, which was the Sonic pooping... like poopy diaper.
So you're against using Kiwi Farms as a source because it can lead to like unethical sharing.
I just haven't personally ever done it because I don't like
Twitter versus Onision's court hearing. That's a little bit interesting. Wait, what is this? Twitter versus Onision's court hearing. Oh wait, let me send this to you.
I might have went on Kiwi Farms a little bit for that. I'm not sure. Generally, I don't.
Wait, is this a court document of Onision? Wait, hold on. What is this?
And if it links to Kiwi Farms, I'll use it, but I don't generally use Kiwi
Farms. Is this Kai Jackson, James Jackson? They're full.
I can't pull this up because I'm not logged into my Discord.
We're getting into like really weird, like nitty gritty. Like, ooh,
this isn't nitty gritty.
5 years ago, you went on Kiwi Farms and Kiwi Farms does something.
It's testing
now we're getting into this and this and this and this.
Well, it's testing your standard because you want privileges that, as a public figure, you've already.
My standard is what I've uploaded in my content. As of
open the first second of the video on stream. Can you? Oh, you're not logged into.
I'm not logged into my Discord, so I can't.
You're logged into my Discord, right?
I think.
Is it Twitter versus Onision court sharing?
I just sent it to myself.
I think I set the standard with the tipster example, right?
Onision
that's something other people covered and then I don't, so that's like generally like I guess the line, right?
Well, what about this Onision
video? I'm going all in
on
tipster.
Nick says play the first couple of seconds of this.
Play the first couple seconds. Okay, I'll share it. Here, 1 second.
So this is the first. Oh, is this an address? Wait, what address is that? Room 239, Tacoma, West.
Well, it's probably a courtroom address.
Is that a courtroom address? Okay.
It's probably.
So it's names.
Onision took Chris Hansen to court for knocking on his door.
So the address of the
for
courtroom?
making videos about him. Yes, this is real. And despite
so we're reading
how
a public court document.
It had to go to court, but unsurprisingly,
and what's wrong with
got
this?
Immediately dismissed.
Yeah, it doesn't mention his address or anything. Mine mentions my address because it's about my house. Right? About my place.
Knocking on his what? Knocking on his door?
This
Wait,
doesn't mention
so the
only
filing for knocking on his door doesn't mention the address? Hanson's house?
Does it mention his address? I don't fucking know.
So this is a standard that's unrealistic to hold. I mean, we're in drama. That's the thing.
Like as drama creators, you're going to
public
video.
figures.
Do your standards not change in life over like 6 years or so?
So now when Onision and Chris Hansen were filing lawsuits against each other for showing up to each other's house, we should avoid that as drama tubers, is the standard you're saying now?
No, there's no rules. It's just my personal rules. No one else has to adhere to my rules. It's just my personal rules of morals.
Well, I guess if nobody has to adhere to your rules,
you can dox whatever you want on fucking YouTube.
Well, the thing is, you're calling it a dox, but it's like, first of all, Nicholas Diorio censored. You're talking about Nick specifically, and he censored your address, right? I don't believe he even shared a link to it, right? Now, obviously, I guess
I don't like him because of it. All we're amounting to is I don't like him because of it. And I think he's a dickhead and an asshole for getting into my personal shit and posting it online. I don't like him. He can do it. I don't like him for it. And that's why I mentioned the comment cop thing. Not because he's not allowed to do it, because I was pissed off at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't know.
It's not about like fucking like getting into the weeds of what I did or didn't say or weird hypocrisies or like whatever. It's just I got pissed at him and then I fucking told everyone he was comment cop.
I just, to me, it just seems, okay, so you said you told IRLs. You said you told IRLs that he was comment cop. Like, you've been to some IRLs about that.
Sure,
it just seems like, what? Like, are these like?
But maybe not like saying comment cop. I'm like, there's this guy in an alt account, you know, because they're not like into drama shit generally.
Well, you have quite a few alt accounts yourself that you've been caught using, like Stone Dagger and things like that. I mean.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. It's a little rich for you to...
Do you not have second Twitter accounts, second Reddit accounts, or whatever? To
actually, no.
Anonymously?
I have a secret YouTube account that... Well, it's not a secret YouTube. It's my personal YouTube account. Right? Most YouTubers have alt accounts that they sneak around on.
Yeah.
And self-promote.
Sneak around on?
I mean, I don't know. You were posting the H... What was he posting on there?
He was on the H3 subreddit, like, promoting himself in the third person. Like,
yeah.
Bobby's doing this, Bobby's doing that, as if he was like someone else or something.
Yeah, like a couple times to boost engagement on Reddit. Everyone's doing that from time to time.
I don't think people pretend that they're someone else. They just posted themselves.
Right.
They just like, as Bowblax, you just post your own video.
Why does it matter which one I do it as?
It's just a strange thing.
It's just kind of weird.
Like,
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, there you
go. It's
like
a weird thing. And also that you were talking shit about commentary and Turkey Tom before the fallout happened. Like, you're posting like, Bobby was always right about commentary in like July of 2024.
Like in third person, you're just like posting yourself up there.
Oh, yeah. I was pissed off at how Tom was reacting to the non-binary tweet.
Yeah.
I ranted to you about that, Connor. I ranted to Nick about
I know, well,
it,
that's more normal. It's a little bit strange to talk
that's
as if
definitely
you're a third
weird.
person.
Yeah, I was manic. Yeah, you definitely do weird things when you're manic.
Well, this was more than just you were self-promoting as the third person. This whole content, this whole account.
I don't really.
The whole account was like a different person to you.
A bit of a world apart, right?
The whole account was a different person to you.
Versus
in your mind, when you were logged in as Stone Dagger, in your mind you were a different person. Whether it was self-promoting or whether it was shitty talking on commentary, you were acting as if you were a different person promoting Bobby every time you did something.
Sure, which
is strange.
Yeah, like a 3 video. Yeah, I promoted on a video on Reddit. I don't see that as an okay.
I mean, that's a great way to completely minimize what I'm saying. But I'm saying it's a weird thing. People look at it and they say this is strange and this is delusional,
okay.
And you look a bit crazy.
Okay.
All right. Can we talk about?
There's no disagreement here. You're just saying it's nuts.
He used those accounts in desperation to beg.
And I'm not saying it isn't.
Yeah, you begged for Ethan's audience support. Yeah, I mean,
here's something I want to ask.
Okay, like wow, it would have only probably only gained like 50 more views or like whatever amount of views. It's like barely anything.
We're not talking about the quantity of how much. We're not talking about the quantity of how much you get. We're talking about the action.
Okay, then you can think it's weird.
Okay, here's something I want to ask about. This is in relation to Connor. You said in this Gokanara video that a lot of the shit that you got from me and Nick comes from, almost everything comes from Connor, because Connor became your editor. You guys became really close. You started talking every day. And allegedly, according to you, Connor was sending a lot of dirt or whatever to us to get us to turn on you so that we would take you out. And
I never said that. Whoa, what is this fanfic you're like?
Well, I mean, it's the fanfic you were saying on the Gokanara video. You basically, the argument is that Connor convinced us, me and Nick, to hate you because he became close to you.
never said that.
I mean, we just listened to you basically say that on the Gokunara video. You said all of the.
Didn't I just say that any reason that like you or Nick might dislike me in that moment?
One in chat if we just heard Bowblax say that in the Gokunara video.
Like, wait, you just interrupted me. I was just saying what I said. You can watch it. We can rewatch it.
Yeah, I mean, I literally heard you.
Because you clearly misinterpreted what I meant or what I said.
All right, let me pull up the Gokunara.
You're recapping it in a way that doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, you said something.
He said you were close. He said like I was closest to Connor, who. He said something about that. Afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let's just pull it up.
I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of, "I'm closest to Connor, so whatever like info that Nick or Augie might have about me to hate me that doesn't come from me directly probably comes from him."
Okay. Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the moment 2 months ago, not like last year. I'm talking about like. The reason why they might
give me an example.
In that
like,
moment.
Let's be more specific.
That's just like how I was talking with the non-binary stuff.
All right, let's play your words directly. You said, let me find when you said Connor.
Oh, closest with was Connor.
Okay, let's listen to this right now.
Here,
right.
Which included not talking with me. I was actually closest with his friend Connor. And then Nick. Okay, now I hear. But
wait. Augie's friend Connor, is that the guy who hosts?
Yeah, Augie's friend Connor. Yeah.
That's the guy who hosts with Augie now.
My editor.
Go back.
We
I
were
didn't hear
talking
the
like
beginning.
every day.
Go back. Okay, we'll restart
I
it.
didn't hear the beginning.
All right.
I don't know.
Because you tell me, but like, who did you think you were like the closest friends with in that group? Like,
toward the end, definitely Nick, because Augie was AFK for the internet for a year,
right.
which included not talking with me. I was actually.
By the way, this is bullshit. Just to be clear, I talked to you as much as I talked to pretty much anyone else. I mean, I did talk to Nick Diorio the most, right? But I mean, I had one conversation with Tom. I hit you up a few times. So I don't know why you.
Yeah, so it was the same with everyone. Well, yeah, that's what you did. You just.
Well, you make it imply that like after I left the internet, like I specifically stopped talking with you because I just.
I don't know if it was. I didn't know if it was specifically me or anyone.
Well, I mean that's the implication of what you're saying.
You said that to Nick. You said it to Nick.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah, you also said to you complained to Nick that I basically blew you off after I left.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was only to me. I don't know if it was to everybody.
Well, I mean that's a shitty thing to assume. Why would you assume that about me?
And then spread it publicly.
Yeah.
What?
You had an issue.
I'm just saying what happened.
Well, you're come on, dude. I'm not a fucking retard.
Well,
I'm not fucking 3 years old.
How do I know that you're doing it to everyone or just me? That's irrelevant.
Well, that's the point, right? You don't know that, right? But you assume that I'm specifically blowing you off. And
I never said that, though. You're making that assumption.
You said that to Nick.
I never said that, though.
You said that to DM and Nick to DMs.
Dude, I'm not fucking 3 years old. Okay, like
you said that to Nick to DMs.
You literally just what's the point of even bringing it up then? If I'm doing this to everybody else, then it's not a fucking problem. So why are you bringing it up?
I didn't know you were doing it to everyone else. I only found that out just now. What?
Okay, then why did you bring it up? What was the point of bringing it up then?
Because I felt like you were only doing it to me.
Yes,
exactly.
Which is shitty. That's the point. That's what I'm getting at. That's
How would I know though? What?
Well, you don't know.
So you act shitty to everyone, and then one person reacts, and you're like, "Well, I'm shitty to everyone, so it doesn't matter."
That's not shitty.
That's not what I'm saying, you fucking idiot. I'm not saying I was shitty to everybody. I was just saying like when I bounced from the fucking internet, I didn't talk to very many people. Okay.
But you still talk to Bowblax also.
Okay.
Yeah, but I still talk to you just as much as I talk to other people, right? But you mentioning that implies that you have a problem with it. I mean, this is just basic one-to-one human interaction.
I did have a problem with it.
Well, then why didn't you confront me about it? Instead of talking shit about it and assuming that I'm being shitty to you.
Because you literally like left the internet and were AFK to everything.
But you have my phone number. You could have texted me.
Why would I ask you? It wasn't that big
of
a deal.
Bro, friendship is a two-way street. You had my phone number. You could have texted me. If you felt like I was blowing you off or ignoring you, you could have been like, hey, like I feel like we're not that close anymore.
You like start like hating me and stuff. After
what do
all
you
this,
mean?
Yeah, that amplifies
this
looking back.
This is like
Obviously,
way
in the moment,
before
it
all
doesn't
that.
matter that much, but looking back, I'm like, wow. I guess you really didn't give a shit.
So you feel
like,
that,
back.
But you just said it right now, implying that this is something you've always felt, right? You've always felt like I didn't give a shit about you, right? And I'm saying, first of all, that wasn't true.
Well,
but second of all, if you felt that way, why didn't you talk to me about it?
Looking back on it now, not in the moment.
So based on how I've treated you now, you think I always...
That's the conclusion I came to. Yeah.
Well, this is interesting, right? So you think based off of how I've covered you now, like I never gave a shit about you this whole time?
That's how I feel.
And why did you say it to Nick in July 2024?
I'm having that interview in, what was it, like March 2025.
I know, but you said the same thing.
You're asking why my feelings aren't the same. A lot of things changed between July 2024 and March 2025.
No, I'm saying this didn't change.
So my feelings on different things and different people change. You can't just fucking compare one thing to another and be like, oh, you're hypocritical.
I'm saying these are the same things. I'm saying your feelings didn't change from July 2024 when you said the same exact thing to Bowblax, and today when you're saying, now that I reflect on it, I feel this way. Didn't change from July 2024 to now.
What did I say in July 2024?
You said the same thing that you told Gokanara, which is that you feel like I was shitty to you because I was ignoring you when I left the internet.
You said that to Nick in July 2024.
Then I felt that way in July 2024 as well, I guess.
Okay, well then, we've established that.
I don't remember that time. I was manic.
My point is that if you felt that way, why didn't you confront me about it, you know? And also, you didn't message me.
Because
you know what I mean?
It's not like from the fucking internet.
What do you mean, gone?
I did try to message
you. Think I died? You think I was in like a fucking stasis? You think I was in a fucking
account?
Bro, do you think I was in a fucking?
You don't answer. What do you mean?
In a cryo chamber, just like freezing to death? You couldn't just call me? You think like when I left the internet, I was just gone
from
the
world?
To
call you?
Yes, if you have a fucking problem, that's what friends do. If you have a fucking problem with somebody, hit them up and be like, hey, I have an issue with you. Why aren't you talking to me? Blah, blah, blah. Let's talk it out. Are we close? I feel like we're not that close anymore. But instead of doing that, you fucking talk shit about me to fucking Nick and say that I'm being shitty to you. And I'm now telling you that was a shitty thing to do, right?
Yeah,
you're making
I
assumptions
agree.
about me.
I was manic. I was saying a bunch of things that I would have done in a normal way.
This isn't just a manic thought, though. This is a thought you genuinely had.
And today you have.
Yeah, okay.
And today
when
you
you're
have.
manic, the genuine thoughts, they amplify and you do crazy things based on small things that normally you wouldn't take action on immediately otherwise.
But this is a thought you had since I left. I mean, let's just be honest, right? Like, you were like, oh, Augie's gone and he's not talking to me. Yes!
Yeah, it was a little weird that you left, like, jumped off the face of the earth and left, but, like, it wasn't, like, that much of a bother until, like, you know, I'm manic and it gets amplified and I over-exaggerate things and stuff, and then I care too much. And now I'm trying to, like, explain things, like, that, you know, I was manic in the moment, so yeah, it's gonna seem it was too extreme. It was over the top, and I was shitty to you, and I was shitty to Nick and stuff. And I've apologized in private and public the best I can. So,
what did you apologize for? I mean, you apologized to Nick for the conversation or whatever. I don't think you've ever apologized to me for anything. Just, I mean, not that I'm asking for it. I don't really give a fuck about apologies, but I'm, you know, just to make that clear for the record. But anyway, look, that wasn't the point of playing this clip.
I'm pretty sure I didn't tweet out a public apology mentioning you, but
mentioning me. Okay, well, maybe I missed that one. I'll have to double check that. But just, I'm not asking for a fucking apology. I don't give a shit.
I mean, I apologize for it now. You know, so
okay.
You know, I'm regretful of that entire time period, which I'll claim from like July to let's just say like October, I guess.
Yeah.
It's probably a decent time frame for all that. So,
well, listen, this wasn't
mentally. So
this wasn't the main reason why I wanted to play this part of the fucking interview. I want to hear what you say about Connor, but I wanted to fucking address that because I've heard you say that multiple times that I blew you off or something like that, and I mean that's just not true. So. Anyway, let's keep playing this.
Because I blew everybody off. Right?
Oh, I mean,
you're talking to
everyone
to you all the time.
To an extent, but it's like I talk to you as much as I talk to anyone else on the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the time, I did.
How many times?
Like, a certain way,
wait, didn't we check? Did Bowblax ever reach out to you once when you were gone? I think we looked. Yeah, Bowblax never messaged you first. First,
yeah.
I don't think
first.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
On Twitter.
Oh, on Twitter?
Twitter and Discord, yeah.
You DM'd me on Twitter? I feel like that's not. I mean, I pretty much logged off of Twitter.
Like, it wasn't about like you being gone or whatever. It was just like, yo, what's up, dude? And stuff like that.
I don't remember getting a DM like that. I gotta be honest with you.
You probably just weren't on Twitter that much.
I can't check. I mean, I can't check because we have each other. We have each other blocked.
It makes sense. You're saying like you were ignoring a lot of people and everyone. You blew up.
Don't listen to him, Josh. Augie never stopped calling me ever. Says Nick in the chat. So.
Shut the fuck up.
Sorry, man. I guess it's over for you.
Shut the fuck up. All right,
dude. You know, I don't respond to people. I blow people off all the time too, and don't respond right away, and then come back to it a bit later, or you know, what have you. It's just, you know, it's not that big of a deal.
Let's play what you said about Connor, and then I want to dissect that because I'm curious about that.
Tell me, but like, who did you think you were like the closest friends with in that group? Like,
toward the end, definitely Nick, because Augie was AFK for the internet for a year, which included not talking with me. I was actually closest with his friend Connor, and then Nick. Wait, pause. Dude, I can't believe we had that entire conversation just based on me saying that, like that little thing. Like,
what do you mean
guys
it's
hone
a
in
little
on these
thing?
Little things I say and like blow it up, like. So
it's been something you've been repeating.
It was horrible. Augie's such a victim, and it was so horrible
that I implied
for years, that he was the only person to like allegedly blow me off or whatever.
You've literally been saying this over a year.
I was just like, oh, he didn't mention
I'm sorry, dude, but when somebody says bullshit about me for a year, I have to correct it.
You said this for a year straight. You had a meltdown. You had a meltdown about Among Us over this.
What do you mean that little thing? You're indicting my character by saying that I didn't give a shit about you. You're making an argument that like the whole time
you really think people are going to think that deeply about it based on that little comment?
Said this
Does everything you say just have no meaning to it? Is that how you avoid responsibility for anything you say?
You really think that's how people came away from that?
That's the obvious thing.
Why are we talking about one single... Wait. The clip doesn't matter. You've made this argument for years, dumbass. We're talking about your overarching argument and feelings you've made in multiple different avenues.
You made the argument based on the...
You've said this to Nick. You said you had a meltdown about Among Us over Discord, about that Xylee was your only friend. You've made this argument.
That's not public, though. You said
yes,
publicly
you had Among Us
indicting
meltdown.
Your character.
That's all part of it.
Me talking
you have
to
made
Nick,
this argument for over a year.
Me talking to Nick is different than me talking to a live stream.
And then you're minimizing this argument that you've made for over a year and that you thought for over a year into one little clip.
Minimizing.
No, but you're making it as if it's one little clip.
It's not that big of a deal. That's why.
It's something you've said for over a year.
You really think it's that big of a deal? You really think
this is what you do for every argument, though. You minimize everything you do.
That I was publicly implying that Augie is a horrible friend to everyone. I was really giving off the impression to everyone that Augie was such a horrible friend while he was
said that to Nick.
You know, I had people come up to me like at VidCon, like really excited, like, "Yo, when's Augie come back?" Like, I don't know, but I hope.
Dude, I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest.
I would never trash talk to you, really.
I gotta be honest, dude.
Other than like
the way you're arguing right now, I'm starting to believe you actually are a woman. Like, holy fucking shit!
Come on. Don't fucking.
I'm just kidding.
It's just terrible. It's like, terrible.
That wasn't a transphobic joke.
Well, literally, dude, I was like one of your biggest fans behind the scenes. I wasn't like really hardcore shit talking you behind the scenes or anything like that, other than like me giving out a couple grievances to Nick when I'm like fucking manoing crazy. Like, seriously, dude, like, you really think that I was going around like smearing your name and making you seem like a shitty person?
It's not about me being a shitty person. It's about you saying that I basically thought you were shit and I didn't give a fuck about you, right? Which would be shitty. Yeah, to like Nick. I mean, that's the argument you're making. You can try to minimize it. You can try to minimize it right now. Like, oh, it was just a little vent that I made or whatever, right? But that's indicative of my character, is what you're saying, and it's indicative of the way that I treat you as a human being and as a friend, right? Is that what Nick took from me saying? And I was also manic at the time and going saying a bunch of nano shit, but also you really think like. Well, Nick doesn't even think that about you. Nick's like cool with you now.
We're not talking about Nick. We're talking about you, bro.
Are you like mad? But that's the person I told. What are you mad about that I did? It doesn't matter if Nick. It doesn't matter if Nick walked away from that thinking like, "Wow, Augie's a piece of shit," or if Nick walked away thinking of that, Bowblax is lying, like Augie's great. That doesn't matter. The point is that this is a feeling that you have, that you've expressed, that is based off of bullshit. You thought that I was blowing you off, and you thought that that means I didn't give a fuck about you, right? And so you're telling Nick about that, right? This is a thought that you've had brewing for fucking years.
obviously
brewing for years. It was,
or at least a year, right?
Like months at that point.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I was like, dude,
I'm
going
gonna
to
sit there and be
maybe
like,
he doesn't care. It's not that deep, but okay.
well, I mean, is everything you say just meaningless? Like, can I criticize?
No.
You asked to go over the personal stuff. We're going over the personal stuff. Do you want to go over personal stuff, or does none of it matter? Why'd you fucking call in if you're just gonna say everything's not that deep? This is a personal
I
thing
didn't
between
say
you and
everything's
Augie.
not that deep. I said,
But this is the personal shit. So let's instead of blowing it off as not that deep, how about let's actually engage with the conversation?
Okay, I'll
Don't say that
Sorry,
again.
I'll listen to what I'll listen. Okay.
Jesus.
Jeez, man.
I mean,
holy shit, you're pissed.
It's ridiculous.
Goddamn.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
He's done this for every argument,
I'll let
everything
Augie
ever.
Speak.
It's not
Like,
that deep.
sorry for
When he's
interrupting
under-
Augie's explanation. Like,
oh
holy
my
shit.
god, dude, this is just fucking great. Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
okay. Keep in mind, by the way, chat, I moved on from this point and I wanted to talk about what he said about Connor, but then Bowblax re-engaged the conversation.
Yeah, and was like,
He was like,
"Can we
wait,
play
pause."
that clip
Because the
again? Can we
fact
go
that
back
we
So
and
had-
you're the one that keeps bringing it back. You're like, do you
Let's
really
get to the
care about
core of
this?
it.
Like, okay, well, I mean, I don't care. I don't care about anything, I guess. I don't fucking know. I'm a nihilist
No, I
now.
didn't say do you really care. I said do you really think that I was shit talking you to a bunch of people?
Objectively, yes. we're reviewing it right
just
now.
Based on that one conversation with Nick, that's enough.
Objectively,
that's enough.
yes.
Out of all the nice things I've said about you
It's
behind
not
the
like
scenes,
it's not like I'm making
publicly
the,
and everything.
Oh my God.
Me
It's not like
one
you were
personal
making the-
grievance of Augie being gone and not messaging me once or twice in a DM conversation privately with Nick. That's enough for
It's
Augie
not
to
like-
say fuck Bowblax and fuck all this.
it's not
That's
like,
enough. You
okay.
little pussy. You're a weak
Oh
little
my god,
bitch.
you're fucking
really?
retarded.
Now you're
It's not,
Holy shit,
you're just
really?
totally coping.
That's
It's not like
actually it.
Bowblax. I'm not making the argument
God.
that you were smearing me as a fucking pedophile to Nick or some shit, or that you were saying the most heinous, horrible shit about me, right? That's not what I'm fucking saying. But objectively, you did have a fucking problem with me. You did have a problem with my character, right? My treatment of you, and you were expressing
No,
that.
you're
lyrics, just like lyrics,
yes,
by the way. Just
because
like
you didn't, because you were gone from the
Totally
internet. I'm
delusional.
like, what's my bro? Like, what? Yeah, and I expressed that to Nick in private when I was crazy one time.
And you said to a couple other people too. You just said that.
And that. Okay, sorry to minimize your feelings, but that's
You
like,
said it to a couple of
that's how
people,
it is,
like you
man.
just said. You also say it on Gokunaro. You repeated this point when you had a meltdown about Among Us.
Yeah,
all this is something that you go and talk shit about Augie's character, and then you're like, well, it does what if they didn't really take it away?
It
It's
bothered
about
me.
your-
I'm saying this. I said it a million times. In all those places, and I'm saying it again here. It bothered me that Augie ignored me and for those for all that
Well,
time.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it bothered you,
And he did
it
that to
bothered
everyone.
me. It bothers me that you didn't
And-
confront me about it. If that was the thing that you
Okay,
genuinely
fair
thought,
enough.
you didn't fucking hit
Okay,
me up
fair
or
enough.
text me. You're like, oh, Augie was off the internet or whatever, right? Bullshit. You had my fucking phone number. You could have
Fair
sent me
enough.
a text immediately.
Okay,
So,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. There we go.
Okay. Well, are we
There
done
go.
with this
I'm
point?
glad we got that. Yeah. it's
Okay. Okay. Let's
That's
hear what
actually fair. No, I'm bullshit. Like that's fair.
you. Okay.
That is fair.
Let's hear what you said about
And
Connor now.
and do you think it's fair that I was upset that you were like blowing me off and stuff and weren't like around? You think that was, can you concede that too?
I mean, I think you should have called me about it or something if that bothered
Oh,
you.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't do that.
But
yeah,
if you-
okay, there we go.
Okay. All right. Let's hear what you said about Connor.
For the end, definitely Nick, because Augie was AFK for the internet for a year,
Right.
which included not talking with me. I was actually closest with his friend Connor, and then Nick. But
Wait, Augie's friend Connor? Is that the guy who hosts?
yeah, Augie's friend Connor. Yeah.
That's the guy who hosts with
he
Augie
was
now?
my editor. We were talking like every day for like 6 months. I would tell him everything.
Damn.
Most of these leaks are from but most of I would assume the commentary against me or the things against me kind of originate from probably him saying things to people or what have you.
Damn.
That's just bullshit.
Specific,
Most
and I'm
of the things are me
specifically, and I'm,
saying things. against you?
and I'm specifically talking
good.
about. I'm specifically talking about when I say coverage of me online. I'm talking about the coverage of that current time period, March 2025. So anything that, and I also mentioned that I didn't watch any of the videos, about.
So you're just
me
making up bullshit.
generally.
You don't know what's. You don't know anyone's talking about.
I'm
You haven't looked at any of the videos.
so
You're
I'm
just making
saying,
up bullshit that I'm making
no,
you.
so I'm saying because, oh my god, I'm saying because I was talking to you so much during that time or whatever that any behind the scenes oh Bowblax did this or Bowblax did that or whatever probably come from him if they're being talked about in a video.
Most of the commentary coverage is what you say comes from me. So not behind the scenes, commentary coverage.
Yeah, if there's any new information that I'm not aware of, it would probably come from you.
I'm working behind the scenes, telling everyone all your personal shit, and that's what most people are talking about.
We were talking together for so long, and like you knew about like my thought process with content creation and a bunch of different things. So any new thing that people are like, oh, about Bowblax or whatever, like now that you hate me and you're making videos against me and shit, you probably would. Say that to Augie and Nick. That's obvious, right?
Well, no, because we're talking. He asked you a question. Who were you closest with during this time, right? And we're talking about during the time of when the fallout happened. And then you say, and most of the coverage that came from this was from Connor, right? Connor, most of the commentary coverage was from him. Though I don't think.
No, I was talking about the current time period at that point.
Any of the commentary coverage besides after the fallout, when you made a tweet coming at me, came from me at all. The lyric stuff had nothing to do with me.
Okay, exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. If that was during March 2025, then that's what I was talking about.
2025, that would have been like, what, 2 months ago? That was way past.
Yes, everything. That's when the Gokunaru interview is. And that's...
No, but he's asking you about when this fallout happened, who you were closest friends with.
If that's what Gokunaru meant, then I misinterpreted, but obviously...
So what do you think
but what I meant, what I was talking about was... coverage of that current time period, because he was talking about like, how do you feel about the coverage that's being done on you? I was thinking about videos that like were uploaded during that time. That doesn't
make sense. That makes no sense.
What? I was getting shit on March.
No, but I'm saying
commentary videos were being made on me in March.
You said so even in March, you think I was most of the commentary coverage that people were talking about in March?
No, if there was any like new information that people were talking about in regards to me, it probably came from you talking to like Nick or Augie or whoever, and the information spreading from you as the source because we talked so much behind the scenes.
What were people talking about in March that you're thinking of?
Any like new info that comes out is most likely going to be from you because we talked so much, and you know me like the best out of any of them, right? So
like Stone Dagger, you think was from me? That was what was being talked about in March, right? Or a couple months ago, a month ago.
I've never.
The house stuff.
Maybe I was screen sharing and you saw that I had another Reddit account.
No,
or something. I don't know.
DJ Screwdriver.
I don't know. I don't really think Stone Dagger. Wasn't that from DJ Screwdriver? You looked into that one.
You're just making a bullshit and spreading that I'm snaking you about.
No, I didn't make a bull. I said if any, because we were close, it stands to assume that any content. What? How do you not understand what I was saying in that interview?
It stands to assume. You can't assume that. If you don't know anything about that, you can't just be like, well, someone else.
But he's asking me, and I don't know, so I'm saying I don't know, but probably.
He asked you who you're closest with, and then you decide to add this random caveat. And Connor was the one who snaked me all the time, by the way. That's what you're adding as a random caveat. He didn't ask you, who do you think snaked you the most?
Yeah, he was saying that. That's like the whole impetus of this interview.
No, he said, who are you closest to? And you said,
I'm adding on
Nick,
to another.
But then probably Connor, and he's the one who did most of the coverage on me and fucked me over the most. And that's just bullshit. You have no evidence for that. You have no proof of that. You don't even know.
That's not what I was claiming. You're arguing a straw man. I'm trying to explain to you what I was claiming. Like, you're so hung up on this, what you thought I was saying, that like you can't even accept that that's what I meant.
You're saying commentary coverage. I'm going off your exact words verbatim.
Commentary coverage, yes. Of March 2025. That's when the interview happened.
You know, that doesn't even make sense. You're hyper focused on this month. That first of all, that month has nothing to do with anything I've.
That's when the interview happened, and that's why I'm responding to it. How can you not get to see your dense skull?
Yeah, okay.
I'm talking about commentary coverage made on me in March 2025 in an interview in March 2025 because he's asking me about commentary coverage of me during the current date of March 2025. He's
asking you who you were closest with.
That's what I was saying.
He's asking you who you were closest with.
And if you don't understand that, you're a dumbass.
He's asking you who you were closest with.
I'm only going to engage based on
who were you closest
the
with,
truth
Connor?
And not based on this assumption
that
I was saying something else.
Why is it I was closest with Connor, and so that means most of the commentary coverage? You're answering a question from 8 months ago when we were close, and then adding on the snake bit. But somehow that's about March, not actually from 8 months ago.
I'm not answering. He's saying who was I closest with. I say you.
Yes, 8 months ago.
And then I say about how it.
That's now
Yeah.
March. We've transitioned to March out of nowhere.
Any information that's new. Shut the fuck up for a second. Any information that is new. Right? Any information that is new that comes out in a video uploaded in March 2025 possibly came from you finding out 8 months ago. The information is 8 months old, but it comes out in March 2025.
So
you understand now?
So from the time period of September to March,
dude,
none of
how
that
do you
personal
not?
information.
How do you literally not?
None of that
watch
stuff
the
would have
interview
mattered.
again.
That had nothing
Listen
to do
to the
with
interview
me.
again.
Let's just clarify.
I'm just arguing. I'm trying to clarify to you what I meant, and you're just arguing against it. What's the fucking point?
I'm gonna go off your point. So
arguing?
September to March. You're saying that you're not making an allegation that I would have snaked you at any time from like what, September to March. Only after March 2025, then I would have been revealing new information about you.
What? Yeah, after our falling out, yeah.
So March 2025. So
March
months
2025
after.
is post that, yeah.
So September to March,
that, yeah.
all the whole Manchi stuff, the whole lyric stuff, the whole like lying about BPD, all that stuff had the whole Nick meltdown. None of that had anything to do with me, even though you said that I had covered. I
never said it had anything to do with you.
Okay, so you just
where did I say it had something to do with you?
When you said that I was responsible for the majority of the commentary coverage. That's when you said that. But now you're clarifying it had nothing to do with me at all. Okay. Well, I don't know what you're even saying in that. I don't know why, if you're that sentence even means.
Dude, you're pretending. There's no way.
Pretending what?
You're bullshitting.
We just watched the clip. You just watched the clip.
You don't understand it. Yeah, we did.
So you're basically retracting what you said. You're saying that you randomly added an impetus. You randomly added a caveat to your argument that actually it's only after March 2025. And
no, I never said that. I was only after March 2025. I already explained it to you.
You just said that it was.
Any information that you would, dude.
Yeah, play it again. Go back like 10 seconds and play the clip again.
All right, let's play it again.
How else?
Like 15 seconds.
That's the guy who hosts with Augie now.
My editor. We were talking like every day for like 6 months. I tell him everything.
Back when we were close.
These leaks are
half of these leaks
from like, but most of I would assume the commentary against me or the
commentary
against me kind of originate from
Connor.
Exactly. Yes.
What the fuck are you saying?
Any information coming out in
news, man.
Shut the fuck. Any conversation. Information. Any information. Wait, what? Wait.
Am I? What is this level of gaslighting?
Wait, sorry. I accidentally played the stream and people are I thought people were talking over me. I don't know how that came out.
What the fuck am I witnessing?
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
I was saying. Okay. Let's do the step by step and tell me if you follow. Okay.
Okay.
When we were friends in the 6 month period or whatever, right?
Yep.
There's information you found out about me, or just general knowledge you know of me. You know Bowblax, you know me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once we had a falling out, which was, past all of the Nick stuff, past all of the, whatever stuff. It's like when we publicly had our feuds, we're talking about, right? After that point, it would be natural to assume that the information you gathered from that time period with me, you would give some insight to Nick and Augie or whoever for their coverage on me based on how you know me. So you would be given advice on like, oh, Bowblax did this or he would do that or whatever, potentially, right?
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a complete retconning what you said, but whatever. If that's what you meant, then there's nothing else I can say. If that's what you're saying you meant, it's completely not what you said at all in any way, shape, or form. But whatever. There's no more point in arguing over it.
When I listen to the clip, that's exactly
there's
what
no more point in arguing over it. We obviously will just disagree on that, on what I think you meant. But
okay. Is that resolved?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, there's nothing else I can say about that.